Hello and welcome to Colleague 7 Sprint Review for 19.03.01. This will cover the work undertaken between the 5th of March to the 18th of March. Starting with the sprint goal, and for this sprint our aim has been to deliver the next component of the back office project by allowing for the record keeping of bank details held against the candidate and company record. This is whilst continuing to enhance elements of the search based on client feedback. Looking at the high-level items and to explain further, in this sprint we've been able to introduce a new bank details area to the candidate record and company record. This is accessible and editable on the basis of user group permissions. We've undertaken an initial review of the MailChimp API and now have a planned series of development jobs to deliver integration features with this provider. Within the search, we've now added multiple column sorting to the search results, and this option is also available now throughout the system. We've also updated the view text feature so that it supports text criteria searching against history logs and notes. Again, within the search, we've added the select all option to the list of history types that appear when your text criteria is searching. We've added a date range and team lookup option to the team overview report and included some default parameters with this. We've resolved an issue which was occurring with the last contacted field when updating the contact that had been created via the markers lever feature. And we fixed an issue which was failing when updating the company invoice address if you changed the invoice company. We'll now go through a brief demonstration on the key features from this sprint. The first point we're going to go through is the bank details area that has been added to the candidate and the company record. So if we start just on the candidate record, it's off the view more option here. You'll see an option here for bank details, and again off the company, off the view more, again you see the option there for bank details. So if we start within the admin area and just go to user group permissions quickly, what you'll see within user group permissions is an option to view bank details and an option to add or edit bank details. So those are split in case you want a scenario where you want to give users the rights to view them but not edit them, and obviously the rights to add and edit obviously are treated separately. So if I set that to no access, what you'll see is, and by default they will be set to no access across the board. They're very much enabled for the purposes of back office on a case by case. But what you'll see is that off the view more menu that the bank details option isn't viewable there now. So if we set that back to full access, and then we'll carry on with actually going through what the back office option actually shows and does. So just refresh the record there. Good stuff. Okay, so off the view more, you've now got bank details back. So if we hit on bank details there, what you'll see is, and it works in the same functionality as most of these kind of partial view components, in that you'll have the bank details will scroll down in a partial view. You'll have a table option that you can see there, where you have the option to either add bank details to the record, or you can select an existing bank detail, and again it will scroll down and containing those bank details. You have the option to obviously then edit these bank details as you see fit, as you need to, and hit save if you have the rights to do so. So hit save there, and obviously see that, and then obviously you've got the option to delete as well if you want to choose to delete the bank detail, in which case you can say delete, and then obviously that deletes that bank detail from there. In terms of history, there is a track record of deletions and updates and additions. We don't store any specific bank detail text within the history text in relation to that, but there's just a track record that this specific user on this specific date updated a bank detail relating to the record, just so that you've got an audit trail in that respect. But in terms of the specifics of what was changed from and to, those aren't tracked, because obviously that would involve containing that financial information, obviously within the history log, which we want to maintain as being something that can be specific to certain individuals in terms of what they can see. So that's the same workflow from both the candidate and the company side. Also, as just as a point of note, these bank details are fully encrypted. In the highly unlikely event of the database being accessible beyond Microsoft's security, even in that scenario, there will be no instance where bank details stored against the record could be accessible to someone that had retrieved the database. They're all encrypted and go through a decryption model when they are displayed in the portal. So there's obviously the levels of security in place there in relation to these bank details. But that essentially covers it in terms of the bank details functionality from both the candidate and the company standpoint. The next point to cover is on column sorting, or multi-column sorting to be more specific, and that is raised predominantly around the search results area, but is also relevant across the system now in all areas where you have multi-column options or data basically being displayed in tables in the way that you see here, so selection screens, quick search, and so on. But what you used to be able to do, and can still do, of course, is sort by a singular column. So on selection of that column, it will sort the data in the table by that column. But what you can now do is sort by multiple columns. So in this scenario, say that we wanted to sort by candidate status to begin with. On clicking that column, we sort by candidate status, but we also wanted to sort by the last contacted field. In that scenario, we would hold down the Shift key. We press the last contacted header, and then you can see there what it's done is it's listed the last contacted date in a descending order there, showing the candidate status, and then also from there showing the last contacted date fields based on how far away, whether or not there's been no contact or how far away it was. And if you wanted to hold down Shift key again and click on it that way, then yeah, at that point you've now got the records listed based on the date range of the most recent going down. But again, there being this separation based on the primary filtering, which is obviously on the status, but also factoring in this secondary. And it's not limited to obviously just two. You can select multiple columns, Shift here as well, and select on that, and you can filter on that basis as well. It's not limited to the number of columns. Obviously, it will start to lose its meaning after, based on how many columns you're filtering on. But certainly 2, 3, 4 columns filtering and sorting in that way is all now fully supported, but it requires the holding down the Shift key on pressing the header in order for it to work in the way that you need it to. So that's the main update that's been made there. The next point to cover is just a minor point in relation to in the text criteria searching, the history option here. What you can now do on selection of history is that there is a select all option here. So the different history codes that are set to be accessible from this option will appear as they do normally. But if you want to select all of them or deselect all of them, you've got a single tick box there available to you now to use that. Staying with the search, the next component to cover is the view text feature and the updates we made to that feature in this sprint so that you can now view text against histories and notes. So previously the view text feature would highlight the searched phrase within the document that you searched against in the document index, but now we've got it so that it will search against, or not search, but it will highlight text within found histories and also notes as well. So we've got a sort of basic search phrase there. If we select to search against all histories and notes, and then I'll show those results and bring those through. And if I pick on a candidate here, we hit view text, and what you'll see is that we've had an email that's been sent out that's contained that search phrase that's stored here. And all of the different emails or notes or histories essentially that have referenced that search phrase will also be listed associated to this record. If I go to another candidate as an example, yeah, we can see that we've got a history where it's referenced that as well. And if I go to another example here, yeah, we can see there's plenty of histories where it's referenced that role as well. So that's the key update that's been made with regards to the view text feature in this sprint. The final point to cover is the updates we've made to the team overview area. So on the home page, which is your landing page, when logging into Colleague 7, you obviously have the user overview, which will list your users, and if you have the rights to, you can also switch that to view other users' overviews in terms of specific KPI dials. But you also have a team overview. So the idea is that you have access to an overview of how your team is performing as a group. And this is run off the basis of the teams area in admin, where you'll have different team structures set up. And the idea is that your user would have access to certain teams or be associated to certain teams, or maybe even just one team. And from here, what we've now done is introduce the option to have criteria. So based on your access and also the teams you're associated to, it will dictate which teams you can choose from, whether or not you're, but basically it would list the teams that you're in within this area. You've also got the option of excluding sub-teams. So if there is a setup where there is a team structure, where there is a team within a team, if you like, a sub-team, you could choose to exclude that sub-team. And also you have a period here as well, whether or not it's going to be a date range, in which case you've got a from and to option here, or whether it's today, or whether or not it's going to be this week, this month, this year. But you can select on the basis of that. And then obviously you can just run the team overview, and obviously it will bring through the team overview report. Now you have also some user privileges as well. So just as with the user overview, there's a user privilege in relation to be able to view other users' overviews. You also have a user group permission in relation to this team overview as well. So based on my current user setting, this is just giving me rights to see teams that I'm associated with. In user group permissions, you'll have a setting in here called team overview change team setting, and if I set that to full access, and then I'll refresh the page. What that then means in show view is that I now have access to all of the teams, including a option that is called all teams, which is basically all teams collated together. But that now gives me the means to be able to search on all of the teams as per this setup that has been done within the admin area. So that's for more managerial option, but obviously it's a user group permission, so you can decide whether or not teams have access to that, or which ones do and which ones don't. What we've also introduced are some user group, user settings as well, so some default settings in relation to the team overview. So you've got the exclude sub-teams option here by default, and that's based on this tick flag here, whether or not this is ticked or not. You've got the option of the date range, whether or not you're going to search on this week, this month, this year. This week is the current default, but that will dictate whether or not which option is set here. And you've also got an option here for saying whether or not the team overview should run automatically. So if you want it to run automatically every time the system is logged in, as it used to, then it will run automatically every time you log in. But if you want it to purely be a report that runs when you choose to make it run, then you can set that to no. And obviously on logging into 7, it won't run, but you can go to view team overview, and then you can just hit run, and obviously it will just run the report based on the criteria settings that you've specified. So those are the updates that we've made to the team overview report. As always, if you have any queries or feedback, please get in touch. I'll be keen to hear from you. Also, for those using Colleague 7, feel free to submit your enhancement requests via the support team or directly to me using the above email address. The next video will be the sprint plan for 19.03.02, and as always, that will contain a high-level overview on the items we intend to work on during that sprint. Thanks for watching.